Well, welcome everybody to the multiplier effect and how community drives growth. I'm John Collier, the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer for PIMS. And PIMS is a marketing services and fulfillment operational company to support the social commerce category. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have three leaders on the panel with me that can bring a very unique perspective to community and how community helps scale their businesses and services. So I'd like each of them to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see all of you. I'm Dana Palucci, Head of PR and Influence for Dove.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. My name is Brad Farrell. I'm the CMO at Beekman 1802. We're a skincare company based on the science of goat milk and kindness.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna Araman. I'm the Senior Vice President of North America for Skeepers. We're an all-in-one UGC suite, and we have solutions that help brands scale their influencer gifting, collect licensed UGC, and ultimately build communities.
It's great. What a fabulous panel. So, when I think about community, it's at the heart of how humans interact. It's how we connect, how we emotionally engage, how we influence each other. So I think this is a very, very important human conversation and how brands and services can connect there. So I'm going to start the panel with a question around strategy and the strategy that community that community plays within the overall strategy of your business. So could you share that and share an example of how community has scaled your business or had a big brand impact?
Yes, I would love to start on this. So when we think of community at Dove, we think of community and we think about how they drive culture. And when we talk about culture, something that I hear a lot is tapping into culture. And we think about it a little bit differently at Dove. So when we're thinking about community, we don't think about tapping in because that almost signals like an extraction or a depletion. We really think about looking at the community, listening to the community, engaging the community, and then providing a solution if it makes sense for our objective and what we're trying to do. And I think examples are always the best, so I'll give an example of this, and I would love to tell you a little bit about our Dove x Crumble partnership, the cookie company. You may know it with their incredible pink boxes, and it's a very viral brand. And I think a lot of people, when we were first starting to talk about it, they were like, does this really make sense? But actually, it made a lot of sense to us because when we were looking at our Dove community, they were constantly asking us for sweet, gourmand fragrances. We actually knew that they were going to buy into this and be very, very excited. The community that we actually had to win with was the Crumble community. And the Crumble community is very interesting. They have their own mechanisms. They have their own systems to update one another. And I can give you a couple of examples of that. So they're constantly leaking new flavors. So flavors drop on Monday. You're seeing Reddit threads. You're seeing DMs. You're seeing social speculation around it. There are endless lines out of Crumble stores on Mondays trying the new flavors. And we also see a lot of content being made in cars. So people run out of the Crumble stores and they can't even wait to get home. They're reviewing in their car. And so when we were thinking about how we were going to launch, we actually became obsessed with studying all of these things. And we built and architected our launch strategy around this. So we leaked the partnership. We leaked it on social. We dropped clues in Reddit. We leaked things on TikTok. We actually leaked on Walmart.com. We made 0 announcements, but on December 1st, we started to see the products trickle in on Walmart.com. We got so many comments that were like, is this AI? So much speculation. It was really funny. And we let that leak go all the way until launch day on December 25th. So there was a whole month where it was speculation and no confirmation. And then when we did eventually launch, we launched on a Monday. We made a lot of the content that we generated was in cars. So it was like you thought you were going to get a Crumble review, but you got a Dove x Crumble review. And so I explained the whole strategy here because what we ended up doing was working with 49 paid creators, engaging 500 creators, and generating over 5,000 pieces of UGC, over 3.5 billion impressions, and 50% of Dove X Crumble buyers were new to the Dove brand, proving that we actually were able to successfully engage and communicate and win over that sort of like new community. And so again, we knew once we had our Dove community and the Crumble community, word kind of traveled fast after that.
That's great. I love how this is a great example of how a community, through a collaboration as clever as this, can all of a sudden discover a brand that's been around for a long time. And so it's that discovery moment can bring a brand new consumer and grow the overall target. Brad, do you have an example to share around your strategy and community and the impact it's had?
Yes, of course. So Beekman 1802 was actually more of a legacy bath and body brand that was sold on QVC and HSN. And a few years ago, we created a clinically kind skincare line that we launched at Ulta Beauty. And we're getting a lot more millennials into our brand. We're getting more Gen Z, and people who discovered the brand fell in love with the brand. They fell in love with the founder's story. They fell in love with the kindness. So when we said, okay, we really want to try to harness the power of this community and really get on that leaderboard for EMV. I mean, we weren't even on the top 100 skincare brands a couple of years ago. And we just knew we had this powerful community. So when we set out to create the program, we looked at the market and said a lot of these other brands out there are doing very similar things. They're offering an affiliate fee, they're doing some gifting, but no one was really tapping into their brand's superpower, and our superpower was kindness. So we, Jenny here, who's sitting in the front row, set out to really say, what can we do differently? And we created something that we called the Kindness Crew. And this was not just giving people, hey, here's a 12% affiliate fee to go sell for us. We had the goal of spreading kindness across social media. So we do kindness challenges. They're required to post about their philanthropy in order to move up the different tiers of the program. And people went crazy. They were saying it's the best program they've been a part of. Our numbers, became a top 30 EMV brand over this past year, which was huge for us. Our retention rate is 65%, which is higher than any other top 10 skincare brand. And our posting frequency is actually 40% higher than the top 10 skincare brands. So by engaging them in this community that felt so special, we're talking to them in our Geneva group every day, doing kindness challenges, doing focus groups with them, running new product ideas across them. The program felt really different, and we saw the engagement really grow. And the one KPI that we're most proud about is our kindness crew has actually completed over 5,000 acts of kindness across social media. And I think we could all agree that social media could be a little bit of a kinder place.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. I think that's a great example of how you put purpose at the center of your community strategy and how that can really resonate. In our business, we notice that brands that put purpose at the execution of how they want to communicate and engage with community and creators, those are the ones that perform the most effectively. So it's a great example to share with the group. Thank you. And Anna, can you share with us a little about Skeepers and the platform and how you power this?
Sure. So I started thinking about this last night, and I was going to share all these brand examples, and then I thought, I don't know if any of you remember Octoly. That was our old name. We actually are the OG of communities. So when we launched in 2017, the whole idea was that we were going to not just be a creator platform or a creator database, but we were really going to be this creator community that was vetted, that is hand accepted, and basically brands could tap into our software in order to gift at scale. And we've learned so much. Like, the word community has really evolved since then, both on the creator side and on the brand side. So on the creator side, it's interesting because our business grew quite a bit, and I would say we scaled too quickly. We scaled really quickly, and what we found out from our community is that they weren't on the platform just to get gifted products and meet brands. They wanted to be part of a community, the Skeepers community. We also surveyed them. We have 100,000 now micro nano creators globally. We got 30,000 responses. We surveyed them, and 70% want to be part of a community, both the Skeepers community and the brand community. So what we started doing is being more discerning. We actually kicked some people out of our community. And we are now really upskilling them because they want to be really great. They want to have meaningful relationships with brands. They're not just looking to get free products and post. They want to be part of Skeepers and really connect with brands. On the brand side, we're seeing the same shift. So brands used to come to us and be like, hey, Anna, I need 2,000 TikTok videos next month. No problem, we'll get it done. And brands are still taking a campaign approach, like when there's a big launch, but they're really shifting to a community approach. And I think the word community has become arbitrary right now because it can mean so many things to so many people. There are different ways of, different steps to building a community. So what we're doing on the platform for the brands that want to nurture and curate a community, because we're hearing more and more, is we've added new innovation to our gifting platform where brands can build a mini community within the Skeepers community, and they can activate them, and we're going to evolve it so they can do games, quizzes, missions, contests. Because I think to have your own community, the way Beekman and Dove do, is incredible. And I'm sure like Brad and Dana can tell you that it takes a lot of manpower, love, and resources. And we just want to meet brands for where they are in their stages. We do have a white label platform, and we started working with L'Oreal in Europe, and they've basically expanded to 10 markets because it's been so successful. So for the brands that want their owned white label community, we can accommodate them, but it does take a level of resources from the brand. So we're here to meet brands, where they are in their process.
That's great, thank you. I think when we look at these communities, brands put a lot of time, energy, and effort into building these, and they need to be nurtured and they need to be constantly engaged, which means more and more content, more and more outreach and personalization. And so like in our business, we're finding personalization and the ability to use tools like AI to reach a level of personalization that feels human and authentic is absolutely critical. So it moves us to our next area of question, around the future. So what is around the corner? And we are all bombarded with new technologies at the speed of light. And I really want to talk to each of you about your perspective on, with technology no longer being tools and starting to become operating systems in the creator commerce and brand development space, how do you keep that authenticity and human connection while you can still scale?
Obviously, technology is critically important to scaling, growing your business, being more precise. And when it comes to measurement, KPIs, it's extremely helpful. But I think as we sort of evolve when it comes to technology, we also have to make sure that the human element is truly at the core of what we do as well. And care is at the core of everything we do at Dove. It always has been. And when we think about our creator community, that is the building blocks of it. And we've been scaling our community for several years now. I would say we really accelerated the growth over the last 3 years. We work with around 4,000 paid creators, and we consider them our One Dove community. We engage them across multiple briefs. They're true advocates for our brand, true supporters of our brand. And we really do not think about creators as like a channel, right? Like they are real people and they have built their own brand. And we are very fortunate that they are willing to support and talk about our brand and share that with their community. And so late last year, I was sort of looking at how much we had scaled and grown when it came to our wider influencer marketing program from a paid perspective. And sort of took a step back, and I was like, I think we need to also get back to this like one-on-one connection with these creators. And making sure that we're still speaking to them, talking to them in their own market, creating that one-on-one connection. Because a lot of times we would have events and I would hear creators say to us, like, we don't have access to big brands. I'm so happy to meet you at this event because, you know, we're so grateful for our agency partners. We need our agency partners. But there is still this element where you need to have those one-on-one relationships. So we built the Dove Love. It's sort of an internal term with our creator community. It's not really external facing, so I guess, you know, you're the first to hear about it. But we created this sort of like Dove Love program that is really a community nurturing program. So we took our 4,000 One Dove creators and we started working with them more directly. So we launched a newsletter. They get information from us every single month. They're the first to hear about new launches. They're the first to understand when we have deals coming up. There's a personal note directly from me. They're able to respond and actually provide feedback. We offer restock kits. We also do tons of seeding and sampling that are cross-category across the brand. So we're the #1 dermatologist recommended skin cleansing brand. We're the #1 dermatologist recommended or brand used by dermatologists at home. So we sent a Dove Like a Derm mailer, which was so fun, and our creators absolutely loved it. And so we've also started to do events in communities outside of New York and LA. I know that those are the big hubs where you have a huge volume of creators, but we did an event in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. It was invite only. It was very intimate. We spent one-on-one time with our creators. We did another event in Miami, and it was the feedback was, oh, people only come here for Art Basel. So amazing to have a big brand like Dove here wanting to engage us. And so one thing that I forgot to say, actually, when I started talking about this was one of the reasons why I kicked off this work is because when we looked at some of these other very social first beauty brands, often with celebrity partners at the helm or founders at the helm, a lot of the content that we saw was totally organic content. So about 80% organic, 20% paid content. Dove was actually almost the opposite, around 25% organic and 75% paid. And that made a lot of sense, right? Because we make personal care products, you use them in the shower, you're swiping your deodorant on as you're running out of the house. And so we really wanted to try and find ways to like facilitate more of that organic first person brand endorsement. And the only way that we could really do that was through community nurturing and these one-to-one connections. And so we grew about 20% in terms of the organic content that was generated over just the last 6-month pilot. So it's been really amazing to kind of get back to those one-on-one partnerships and relationships.
Wow, that's a big shift for the size of the business. Congratulations. Brad, your thoughts on technology?
I mean, very similar. I think as you scale, there becomes challenges, right? We launched the Kindness Crew a year and a half ago, and it was 500 people. They were reaching out to Jenny and her team and wanting to talk one-on-one to them every day. Now we're getting close to 3,000 people, so that becomes a question of scale. We are using more technology there with our communication back and forth. Similar to vetting new creators, we used to go in and literally look at everyone in the Kindness Crew, look at their following, read their comments to make sure that they were having kind comments, no one was saying anything mean on their pages. And it was a very laborious process, but it was super important to us. And now with technology, we actually heard them in the opening statements today talk about this new safety technology, which I think is great. Things like that we're going to tap into to help us with the scale, because it just becomes not feasible to do that when you have 4,000 people in your community. But to your point, keeping that special sauce of the brand is so important, and that's what creators want from brands. They want that one-to-one relationship. So we just did a collaboration with Hershey for holiday. We did an event. We had over 100 people in our Kindness Crew show up. We do small activations around the country. Again, very inexpensive. We don't have big brand budgets that we just take creators out to dinner. We did something in Austin where we try to make sure that we're tapping into our community, because if you don't live in New York and LA, you still want to feel included. And for people who are maybe remote, We do fun webinars, like for our Wicked collaboration last year, we dressed up like Glinda and Elphaba, and we just do like wild things that they think are weird and quirky that make them feel special about the brand. And I would say last, access to our founders as a founder brand is also very important. Our founders just wrote a book called The Goat's Wisdom that's all about how they built their business. And they've been doing monthly sessions with our kindness crew to give them advice as creators of how they could help build their own businesses. And people think that's just very special, and it makes our program very unique. So keeping that balance is really critical.
Dana, your perspective?
So
Sorry,
we
Anna?
say, oh yeah, did you call me Dana? I'm Anna. So we say at Skeepers that technology is a tool. I know that contradicts what you say, but not a technology is a tool, not a solution. So you do need to really nurture those relationships. And I would just add that we just integrated our TikTok Shop partnership this week. And what we're learning is that, like, it's interesting, the buyer funnel has really collapsed. And brands are expecting micro and nano creators to be a distribution point. And the videos that are performing the best are the ones from loyal brand fans, those that are part of your community, that genuinely love the product. Once the videos go salesy, they don't perform. So I would just caution everyone, I know everybody wants performance, it's a tough economy, but nurture brand love and the sales will pay off because we're seeing it. And then I'm going to share one last founder story that I think you'll appreciate, Brad. We work with a brand, Orabella. They're just on our gifting platform, but they've been nurturing a community on that platform. And it's Bella Hadid's brand. It's sold at Sephora. It's a beautiful fragrance brand. So Bella herself will repost some of the content from the nano creators on Skeepers that are very small creators. And not only does this make the creator's day, but through that, like, so many of their brand fans have had like new respect and love for the brand that like this, you know, mega influencer would show love to her community. So I will, I think, end on that note.
Fantastic. Well, you know, to end, I would share that I'm very inspired by what everyone in the panel is doing with their brands. And in particular, what's happened in the last 5 years in the creator commerce and the power of creators and their innate ability to tell stories. You know, brands aspire to have the story told. They aspire to connect emotionally with their consumer. And the creators in the room, hats off to you at your creativity and your passion around creating a curated group of followers that thrive on the storytelling, thrive on sharing experiences, because it's fundamentally human. And social media and creators are fueling a human connection, which ultimately is the most powerful thing that we can do. And will create the multiplier effect for business as a business outcome. So thank you very much for attending the panel. Thank you very much for my panelists and all their sharing of expertise. And may all of your communities continue to thrive and inspire others. Thank you.